Hi Leo, good to see you. Come on in. Hey Leo, you're just here in time for your 2020 yearly reading. I've just been doing some spiritual work and I'm really in the mood now to do this reading for you. Now, as you know, I use a lot of astrology, numerology, mysticism, as well as the tarot in the reading of the tarot cards. Because the zodiac is important, it does refine a lot of energies, although I use an esoteric form of astrology. I think you'll enjoy it though, and I'm going to pull one card for each of the months. Now, you can find me, of course, in my monthly readings. If you're a subscriber, of course, you always get them. But if you choose not to subscribe, then and you want to see more, just search for me and the month. Usually I just have the current month up, but you know, the one behind it. Anyway, we'll see. So let's get things underway, shall we? That'll do the job. Let's find January. The Devil. You devil, Leo. The Four of Wands. The Queen of Swords. You are going to love the cards, the artwork on these cards. Hey, there's the Queen of Cups. That's interesting. Two very significant feminine energies that are there in the 2 months. There's the Six of Wands. What's that for? May, is it? Yeah. And here comes June. There is the Moon. What's on the bottom for July? The Fool. Well, why not? And there is the Three of Wands. What's this one here? The Queen of Wands. You've got the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Cups, and the Queen of Wands. Let us see what the energies are there playing out for you. What do we have here for, what would that be, about October, is it? The Tower, November, the Seven of Wands, and what is there, maybe something from in here? Where is the December card? The Lovers, if you don't mind. Look, why don't you come down, sit down here next to me, I'll bring this lamp across, shine them down onto the cards so you can see them and we can enjoy the artwork together while I do the reading for you.
All right, my Leo, here we are, January through to June and July through to December. Let's have a look in January and see what we have here, which is Major Arcana number 15, the Devil. Well, isn't this an interesting depiction of the Devil? Well, for me, it's Capricorn ruled by Saturn with Mars exalted. And here it is, for me, esoterically, Mars in its best form, the fiery, material energy of creation. I call this card the Lord of the Gates of Matter. Yeah, the card represents tunnel vision, and I'm looking at her, so her vision is usually directed at some sort of a material goal. It can relate to career or ambition or looking after one's own best interest, and it implies that you can accomplish much. And the Devil isn't distracted by other things. She's only focused on the task at hand. Now, astrologically, Capricorn is the sign of business, career, and worldly success, social standing. And Capricorns are usually hard-working and achievers, aren't they? So I think that this is the type of energy that's definitely going to be around you during this time. Well, I think that, again, Saturn ruling Capricorn and Mars exalted in Capricorn. Well, Mars also governs our sex drive and creative energy. So this card, I think, has a very strong link to the material side of life and self-ambition. Now, the YouTube astrologers, when they do their zodiac wheels, you'll see that Capricorn is opposite Cancer on the zodiac wheel at the top. And at the winter solstice, 25th of December, thereabouts, in the northern hemisphere where it takes place. So there is a link here to Christ consciousness in the zodiac. And it's interesting, because devil, if you spell the word devil backwards, it means lived. It spells lived. I just have these words coming through at the moment, and it is: think not to hide from me, O beloved one, in thy grotesqueries. I see thee behind thy mask. It is thy lovely body which I love behind these motley veils, this midnight comedy. For there is none other than thee to my eyes, my taste, my touch. Yeah, I have a feeling of freeness, of a party spirit. This is sort of like the Mardi Gras, where rules don't exist anymore, where what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but we might wake up the next day and realize that we've caused ourselves a problem. I'm not suggesting that you would take cocaine, but cocaine can be great until you realize you need it, if you know what I mean. I think this suggests that you'll be handling life from a place of humor, a desire for more stability and grounding, the ability to work hard and play hard, and be more sensual and sexual. And you'll be learning to protect yourself from the projecting opinions and judgments of others. I have this thought in mind, and it is: I am a vital, joyful, and grounded person. I enjoy my sexuality. Whether my problems are real or imagined, I can handle them realistically and with good humor. Well, it's not surprising that should come up for you in this period in January. Really is very much a party spirit type of time, isn't it? Although back to work, as is always the case. Here we have the Four of Wands. Now, I'll say a couple of things about the Four. The Four, for me, is a great number in numerology because it relates to stability, it relates to power, and it relates to protection, I think. Almost as if there is a castle there and you're protected in it. Wands, of course, is the suit of fire, directed at the will. And here I have Venus ruling the third decan of Aries, 10th to the 19th of April type of period. Now, I'm getting a lot of beauty and harmony around this card. In ordinary astrology, Venus rules two signs, Taurus and Libra, but I'm having an association with Libra. And so, in order for Venus to come over into Aries to rule it, it needs to move to the diametrically opposed side of the zodiac to get into Aries. Now, Aries is ruled by Mars in ordinary astrology. So you have Venus, the planet of beauty and love and relationship, joining up next to Mars, that impersonal, rambunctious, fiery character. And we might expect to have some problems because in ordinary astrology, Venus is in detriment in Aries. But I don't think that's a problem for you. I really don't. Because I think what's happening is that Venus is actually exercising what I might call her feminine wiles and womanly charms on the fiery, aggressive, masculine nature of Mars, such that there is a sort of opposites attract energy going on. I think that during this period of February, you are going to find that you may well become interested in somebody else that you have never looked at before. Or you may well be finding that you are taking an interest in a course of endeavor, a work, a hobby, an outlet that you had never considered before, and that you find that you enjoy it. That's something that you said, hey, why didn't I get into this before? I don't understand it. Very much emotion. So you can, coming from Venus, and so you might have an emotional idea, which is Venus, to get going in new or other directions, which is Aries. Aries, of course, is all about pioneering and setting off into new areas. I call this card the Lord of Perfected Work. It is a green light to success, foundation, the first stage to completion. Do you know it's possible that you might be setting up a new home or moving to a new home? I don't know if that's the type of thing that might be on the horizon for you, but that energy is certainly around here, or maybe sprucing up the home that you are in. I think that this, though, can sometimes, well, in fact, it is this time saying that there is something that needs to be completed despite your desire to move on to new things. This might relate to work or new relationships, or a new dynamic within an existing relationship. Or it could relate to yourself, where one aspect of you really wants to go in this direction, and another aspect of you wants to go in that direction. Or maybe even at the core, you just want to stay where you are. I think that you will have those choices to make during this period, and they're going to be successful for you. But you will also be exercising your intellect, I think, because let's have a look at this card here, which is the Queen of Swords. Let's have a look at her. Queen of Swords. Now, that's rather a startling image, isn't it? Well, the Queen of Swords, what can I say about her? The first thing about queens is that esoterically, they represent water, and swords, of course, represent air. So we have the watery part of air. Now, people who might be important to you during this period, I get the feeling, are going to be Virgos or Libras. Yeah, I really get that feeling of Libra associated with it again. I had Libra in this card, and I see it coming through here as well, and I'm getting it because of the influence of Venus. This green eye I see here, esoterically for me, this green is associated with the planet of Venus, and so I see that being a follow through from that card that was there earlier. And Venus, of course, in that case would be representing and governing Libra. So I see Libra or Virgo being there with you. I think that really that this is all about you making clear decisions based on fact and fairness, which is kind of similar to what I think the Queen of Swords is herself. I call her the Queen of the Thrones of Air. Now, as a person, she is graceful, very perceptive, a keen observer, a subtle interpreter, an intense individualist, and someone who is very conscious and of themselves, and confident, and gracious, very gracious. I think what we've got here is the messages that are coming through are such that you will be connecting to people through intellectual understanding rather than through emotional understanding. And you will be able to cut to the chase without being swayed by sentimentality or strong emotions, I think. You will really have a great moment of clarity. I think what this card is doing, is it's saying to you, and with this energy of the Queen of Cups coming after it, and with this Four of Wands just before it, it's saying that you must use your intellect to make an unbiased decision about a situation. Compassion and empathy may distract you, so you must go with your head and not your heart. It's really the case for you that this is not a time to beat around the bush. You need to appraise the situation, make a decision, and then act. And it's also about, I think, for you, cutting through old patterns and masks and have the courage of your convictions to move forward. Now, it's interesting that she should pull up there and have such an intellectual aspect to her, because followed her is another queen, and this is the Queen of Cups. Now, this queen is obviously got something to say to you. Let's have a closer look at her, shall we? Hello, Queen of Cups. What do you have to tell me for my friend here today? Well, the Queen of Cups again. Queen is water and Cups is water. And what you get when you mix water with water, well, you just have something which is really just clear and almost transparent, don't you? I call her the Queen of the Thrones of Waters. The people who will be of interest to you during this period, because the energy that I'm getting up from her is that of Cancer and of Gemini. Generally, the characteristics of this person really depend on the influences that affect her. She is very much at the disposal of every impact and impression that is made upon her. She is a woman who is very intuitive, rather than intellectualizing things. She observes other people. She can be quite dreamy and tranquil and poetic. She's kind and yet passive. But I have to say, I think you could well have some sort of a psychic awareness during this period, She can see herself in others, and she can also see through others and reflect that back onto herself. I think what we have with her also is that we have someone who is very intuitive and emotionally mature, able to get along with and relate to her friends in a very deep way. And I think that that is something that you will be doing during this period. She can be quite meditative, and she's quite happy to be alone with herself. She's practical, and she can communicate her feelings and realizations. There is a need for you during this period to get in touch with your inner feelings and be able to express that to others. And possibly a need to develop intuitively, because you will be relating to other people, I think, in a quite an emotional way. The thing with her is that everything passes through her. She's very influenced by the environment and other people. And so you need to be very careful, I think, of the people that you surround yourself with during this period. Stay away from negative people and people who are sucking the energy out of you. You will be influenced by other people, so surround yourself with people who are positive and who are sharp and who have good things to say to you and good things to bring to your life, because these other people around you can be disastrous. This is the type of woman, I think, who could well have been destroyed either emotionally or financially, by a former relationship. That's just the feeling that I'm getting there. I will say this, though, that she needs to find her own identity, as during this period there is a chance, as I say, because of that transparency with her, that you could get lost in the influence of others. And as your mother always told you when you were little, you are judged by the company that you keep. Well, in this case, during that month, the company that you keep will be important because it will be having an emotional and psychic effect upon you. Now, here we have the Six of Wands. Now, gee, what a bit of a change of pace here. I love the number 6 because the number 6 for me has, well, metaphorically an association with Krishna consciousness or with Christ consciousness. Now, I'm not selling religion, but what I am saying is that it relates to the ability of the human to raise their consciousness up to a level whereby they are able to apprehend, or closely to apprehend, the divinity. It's a very, very good number, and the number is, for me, esoterically associated with the sun as well. So the sun is associated with the number 6. I call this card the Lord of Victory, and it is Jupiter ruling the second decan of Leo, that 3rd to the 12th of August. Now, Jupiter is all about love, expansion, and philosophy, and this combines with your creativity as a Leo. And so we have success in achieving goals. So you'll have success in achieving goals. Now, as you will know, Leo is also ruled by the sun, and I have the sun here in number 6. So we have balance and harmony, and this card, being Leo, is going to give you confidence and creativity, while Jupiter will bestow upon you expansiveness and the ability to go and get things done. I think what we can have here also is the case where, yes, you're going to have a great ability to move forward. You are going to have, look, I sometimes feel that there has been something of a bit of a dry spell in your life recently. And you will have victory over past troubles. Now, although you remember them, you will have defeated them and become stronger as a result. All is well, and you have worked hard to get where you are, and you deserve the success that you'll be having during this period. You will have high self-confidence. So go forward and set goals, and also improve your learning and understanding. That's the way that Jupiter aspect comes in for me. I'd have this thought in mind during the period, and it is this: I am now ready to enjoy success in my life. Every event in my life brings me closer to my final goal, and my victory brings benefits to all involved. Good for you, Leo. I'm so happy that you've got that card coming up there at that time in the month, in the year rather. What a great kick along that we have. Now, this is interesting. This card has come up in June. Now, it is, of course, the Moon card. Now, the Moon, for me, is the planet Neptune. And I have the planet Neptune sitting in the what constellation would I have it in? What am I getting? I'm getting Pisces. So I'm getting Neptune in Pisces with Venus exalted. Now, this card for me is the ruler of the flux and reflux, the child of the sons of the mighty. And the question is for you: Is it a reality, or is it an illusion? Yeah, there's a lot of mystery around here, I think. Neptune in Pisces. Well, Pisces is very much associated with the subconscious, with emotions, with intuition and artistry. This is the last of the major arcana for me to be associated with a zodiac sign. Neptune's watery depths are associated with dreams and visions and the imagination, which links it in really quite well, I think, with the qualities of the moon. Look, I think there's going to be some mental confusion during this period. You might think you are going through a difficult period, but that's really just a subjective opinion that you have, because you might be immersed in something and feel that there is difficulty associated. But the difficulty that you have, I think, is really one of lack of clarity. I think there is the possibility of deception around during this period. I definitely think you'll have increased psychic abilities during this period. I have this thought in mind, and it is, "Claim me, O wife, let thy veils open, and thy veiling mists part to admit me to the mysteries, to the unexplored wilds of thy being." Yeah. I really have the feeling that there is now a time in your life when something is not as it appears to be, a situation that is deceiving. You may kind of feel lost in life, or you may feel that, like, you know what happens sometimes when you get to the outskirts of the city and into an area that you're not familiar with, and it's dark and there are no signposts, and you kind of feel lost in the dark? I think this can often represent the shadow self, the subconscious or hidden self, harboring negativity that you have suppressed or repressed, or maybe not even really consciously aware of at the moment. But there is a need to release this destructive energy. Now, it's possible that this could have arisen from a prior relationship, from a prior event, or even from childhood. But remember that when you go through life, you are like a ship moving across the waters of life. And in those past events or in that past relationship, you may well have put down an anchor, and that's stopping you from moving forward, and it's having effect on the current situation that you are in, because you can't address it, you can't get any speed, you can't get any motion through it. Well, if you forgive the people in the prior relationship or in the events, then the effect of that is to draw up that anchor, because you're being anchored back to that previous time. You're being anchored back to the past, and you can't enjoy the present. So forgiving brings that anchor up and allows your ship to move on. Now, forgiveness isn't easy. I understand that, and it doesn't happen overnight, and you certainly don't have to go and talk to the people involved. And forgiving someone or people can take some months. But forgiveness releases the person who forgives. It doesn't release the person who deserves the forgiveness. You are released when you forgive. And I can't tell you the psychological, mental, emotional, and spiritual benefit that you obtain by forgiving someone. It's no accident that all the great works of sacred literature from around the world point to the need to forgive people. Let's have a look at this next card, shall we? In July. Because in July, we have this card, which is the Fool. Now, the Fool, what a magnificent card. You know that there's no number on the Fool. The first number of any major arcana is the card that comes after this one, which is the Magician. The Fool actually represents, in a way, you before you became incarnate into human flesh in space and time. The Fool represents nothingness, whereas the card that follows it, the Magus, or the Magician as it's often called, represents infinity. But here is the energy which is that of the complete new person, a complete new being. I call this Fool the one who walks without fear, the spirit of the ether. Now, it's Uranus, and there isn't a zodiac sign that I assign it to, or rather, I assign it to the zodiac as a whole, really. And this card is really talking to you about being in the present, a new beginning, a leap of faith, acting without malice, and really getting things moving, and not being afraid of anything, at all. Basically, it symbolizes that state of awareness that existed before birth and after death, and that can be utilized in the present life, such as peak experiences, or mystical or ecstatic experiences. Now, our heroine's journey through life, which is about expanding, balancing, creating, having relationships, releasing abundance and fruitfulness, developing the masculine and the feminine. That's what this is all about. You are the breath caressing my cheek in your incessant going, yet you are with me always. This is talking about the start of something new for you, new and spontaneous. The beginning of the journey into the unknown, which is full of potential for you. You will need to take a leap, not a leap of faith, but with the inner confidence that you are protected and that you are going to be all right. I get the feeling that you might be wanting to break free of something, almost like wanting to break free of the usual routine of life. But look upon life as this Fool does, and be empty once again as a child. I really get this very highly creative period for you, a movement by you towards wholeness, re-owning your courage, and you'll have the courage to be who you are without any fear associated with that at all. Now, in August, you see, these things don't come out by coincidence. They're all linked, aren't they? Because what's happening here is that, well, let's go through it analytically, shall we? See what the messages are that are coming through. The Three of Wands. Well, the first thing I'll say is that I love the 3 as a number, because the 3 is all about extension. It's about increase. It's about development. And it's about gestation. Almost after, say, a woman has become pregnant and then starts to grow the child within her flesh, that creation of something within, that bringing to life, that is the thing that's going on here. Well, we have what I call the Lord of Established Strength here for you, and it is the Sun. in the second decan of Aries, 31st of March to the 9th of April type of thing. Now, in ordinary astrology, the sun is also exalted in Aries, and so this placement is very favorable. Now, Aries enjoys a challenge, and Aries suns are happiest when their lives are moving forward. This is about ideas crystallizing. It's about confirmation that you are on the right path. So you've started something here with that Fool, and this is confirming to you that you are on the right path. Now, it's also possible, I think, that I'm just getting the feeling here that there is some possibility that a hobby or something could well become a business. Is that the case with you? It could well be. I think what we have now for you is that you've really got direction. You have direction as to where you need to place your energy so that you can be your best and be of service to the world. I think it's important because I'm looking at this eye here, and there's a green tinge to here, and there's a lot of love, as I say, association with Venus also with this card. But Venus brings us lessons as well. And this card for me is saying that you will need to be looking inside and outside with integrity, honesty, and no compromises. I'm getting the feeling that you should probably also check the honesty and integrity of somebody else during this period, and I'm getting the feeling of an Aries, so check the honesty and integrity of an Aries in this month of August. I think it is important for you to operate from a place of integrity before making decisions at this time, and to have clarity of mind and heart before acting in order to bring about the best result. And unless you do have that clarity, don't act. But if you do have that clarity and that integrity, then now is definitely the time to get things moving. The cosmos is behind you. You have another queen. You have the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Cups, and here we have the Queen of Wands. Well, what do you have to say, Queen of Wands? Okay. Well, you remember how earlier I mentioned that queens are represented by water. Well, wands are represented by fire. And you might ask yourself, well, what happens when you put fire and water together? Well, they are in conflict with one another, and so we might expect there to be conflict in the character of this person. And now there is a person that's here around you, I think, that's going to be of some importance, and it is, I think it's an Aries or a Pisces. And the reason is that I think Pisces, I'm also getting the sense of Pisces giving this woman sensitivity and inspiration, which you will have during this month. And Aries giving her leadership and self-confidence. Do you know, I didn't mention it before, but I had a great deal of leadership for you in this moon card, I have to say. I had the feeling that people would be looking upon you in June as being a leader. And I think that this is also going to be the case here in July, August, September. Leadership around you. This is a woman of adaptability, persistent energy, calm authority, powers of attraction. Powers of attraction. You are going to be very attractive to other people during this period. Now, she could be generous, but I have to say she can be quite intolerant and impatient with opposition. Now, that would never be you, would it? You'd never be intolerant or impatient with opposition. She has the immense capacity for friendship and love, but at her initiative, in some respects, there is a self-complacent vanity, even snobbery, associated with this Queen of Wands. She can brood, come to a wrong decision as a result, and react with savagery. She can be quick to take offense and harbor revenge without good cause. She can also, interestingly, I think, have a case of the blues, which she can try to overcome by drinking a lot of the booze. So there's the feeling I'm getting here of drinking, maybe drinking to excess. She can also have sometimes panic-stricken outbursts of ill-considered fury. Look, I really kind of call her the First Lady of the American theatre, in a way, because she is extremely attractive, vivacious, and outgoing. And I think what is going to be happening with you is that this is a time when you will be going through a process of self-discovery and remembering your power. You got to where you are by resolving difficulties in the past, and now you have a much stronger character as a result. This is a time to express your natural power and beauty and move on from the past. She knows what she wants, so you should also know what you want. I think you'll have an active life, and my word, you are going to be creating a very powerful first impression on people. Now here we have the Tower card. Well, let me have a look to see where this Tower is placed. This can sometimes be a difficult energy, but I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that because it's surrounded by this Queen of Cups, this Queen of Wands, and this excellent Six of Wands here, and this Seven, which has got great strength associated with it. So let's have a look to see why it is that I'm getting these energies coming through on the Tower. It's a major arcana card, so it's obviously something which is going to be quite significant for you. Look, I spoke before, I think, of the planet Mars, didn't I? Well, here we have the planet Mars in full attack mode, coming in to destroy the Tower. Well, is this what I mean? I call this card the Lord of the Hosts of the Mighty, and it is Mars. Look, the feeling that I'm getting is that this Tower actually represents the limitations of your ego, that part of consciousness which is trapped in form, and in your case, that's trapped in form within your body, and which is trapped in the idea that who you are is really only the combination of memories that you have and what other people and how other people interact with you. Well, that's not who you are. That's only a small part of who we are. It's not the totality. And I think what happens is that this is an energy that's coming through now, which is saying that this limitation of consciousness for you needs to be broken down. It's almost like the Lord Shiva in Hindu religion coming in to break things down in order that they can be rebuilt properly again, rebuilt anew is what I'm getting. The words that I'm having coming through to me now are strike. Oh, take me now in an instant. Strike with the passionate strength of thy love to overwhelm this silly thought I have of thee, this struggling artifice Flood the channels of my nerves with the lightening current of thyself. Yeah. This is a situation, I think, where there is what might be for you something of a time of turmoil where you seek to understand how you could have been so mistaken about something or about somebody, or about a situation, and you've now got to come to terms with it. It's possible that there could be, some emotions coming up to the fore affecting you as a result of that. It's almost like you feel that, my comfortable world will never be the same again. But of course, it won't be the same again. It's actually going to be better. These can sometimes be as a result of relationship breakups or loss of a job or the death of a loved one, obviously. But the important message, I think, that's coming through here very critically for you is that with the destruction of the old comes the new, and eventually you're going to be looking at life in a much more meaningful way, which is going to be better for you and which is going to make you more successful and more attractive. I think there's almost like a kind of a major internal change underway here, almost as if the divine spirit is moving through. Oh, excuse me, while I just turn around in my chair. What was I saying? Something about, yes, the divine spirit moving through your psyche and burning out anything that is fake. But look, be compassionate upon yourself during this time. Be easy on yourself during this time as you change and metamorphosize from a caterpillar into a beautiful butterfly. That's a time of significant but very positive change for you. It'll happen quite quickly, I think, and be over with quite quickly. It's not going to be an ongoing thing, but it's almost going to be like I understand moment. Now here we have the Seven of Wands. Well, the first thing I'll say about the Seven is that look at the colour of the eyes on this wolf. Now they're very much a green, aren't they? They look like that to me. I'm not colourblind, no. Well, the number 7, the Seven of Wands, that relates to an area of divine emanation which existed prior to the appearance of space and time, of the material universe, which mystically for me is, well, it's to do with overcoming, it's to do with breaking down boundaries, it's to do with pushing into things, it's to do with making things happen, it's to do, in a nutshell, with victory. And green is a colour very much associated with the planet Venus for me, and Venus is associated with this number 7. Now, the astrology that I have for the card is that of Mars in the 3rd decan of Leo, with this Venus-ruled number 7. Now, the energy of fire, because Wands is the suit of fire, the energy of fire is kind of starting to weaken a bit this far away from the ace being, well, 1 it would be if it had a number. So the energy is starting to be less concentrated and to become more dispersed. And the feminine energy of Venus associated with this 7, I think, further dilutes the fire in this suit of Wands. Now I have Mars in Leo. Now Mars normally likes Leo, but in this case, with us being so far down, harmony really doesn't exist, and also the feminine energy of the 7 does not really sit well with Mars in this situation, I think. I call this card the Lord of Valor, And you may well think, in relation to something during this month, that it is pretty well only your Mars energy which is keeping you going. It's almost, I think, that you might be feeling in relation to something that you are fighting a losing battle. Now, Mars in Leo usually indicates really someone acting with authority and power. Now, you will be, but you are going to have to dig deep and use all of your resources in what you might think is something of a tricky situation. And the task is going to be for you to maintain focus in dealing with that problem. You see, the sevens also, for me, from a numerological point of view, can often relate to introspection, re-examination, but also choices and responsibility, secrets, and regaining control, right? Regaining control. So you might feel that, as I say, you are fighting a losing battle and it's only your courage that is keeping you going. Maybe you feel as if, in relation to something I'm getting here, that you haven't been dealt the best hand and that even things in the background aren't going well here for you. You could also feel as if you're on a sinking ship. But now you can sometimes be related to relationships, and the relationships don't have to just be romantic relationships or marriages or coupled relationships. They can be workplace relationships or businesses, customers. They can be employee-employer relationships, supplier relationships, things like that. And you might be running out of energy and ideas how to keep sustaining it. Or if it's to do with, work, you just might be coming to the end of your tether in relation to something. This is really saying don't feel alarmed if this happens to be the case. Because sometimes when these things come across us, they take us by surprise, don't they? Well, now you're forewarned and you're forearmed, and you'll be able to detach yourself from it. And you'll be able to use that energy of Mars to push you through the situation. Because although you might think that even things in the background are not going well, things in the background definitely are going well. You can see from the energy of all these other cards that surround it, this is the one that's sticking out. It's not at all consistent with the energies that are coming through, nor with the card that's coming behind it. But you may well be thinking, look, here is a situation which we all have to face from time to time, and you will deal with it, and you'll deal with it successfully in a way which is going to lead to happiness for you. Now, finally, here we go, December. What have you got here? Well, it's the Lovers. The Lovers, what a beautiful card. Now, you know my thoughts on the number 6, don't you? The number 6 is, of course, that beautiful, mystical number, which just brings the divine love showering down upon you. The number 6 here in the Lovers also speaks to me of great balance, very much balance. Now, I have Mercury ruling Gemini with Dragon's Head exalted. Dragon's Head, you might recall, is the north node of the moon. So Mercury ruling Gemini. Okay. I call this energy the children of the voice divine, the oracle of the mighty gods. And in a nutshell, the meaning of this card centers around the reconciliation of opposites. I think you are going to need to look at all the angles before making a decision. I think possibly also you may, well, in fact, I'm pretty sure you're going to be called upon to be a peacemaker or a mediator in relation to problems that people are having. One or more people are going to come to you and say, can you help me? What should I do? I think you need to look at harmony in the relationships. I think you are also, and here in December, I think you're coming to the end of the year now. You're looking at the year ahead of you, and you are thinking to yourself, look, I really need to make a decision on something here. And this is a major life decision. Now, it may not actually appear to be a major life decision for you at the time, but when you look back on that period of next December, when you look back at that time, you'll go, wow, yeah, I see when I made that call or I made that choice. And yes, it has had an impact on me. Now, the impact is going to be good. I've got to say that, so I don't have a concern about that. There may also be a mutual attraction and sexual connection and attraction during this period. This can mean within coupled relationships, but it can also mean new attractions and relationships for people as well. But this is a major arcana. So I'm not getting the idea of a one-night stand here whatsoever. Not at all. I'm not getting a one-night stand. I think what is important is that you'll be thinking, well, there is a choice to be made about something. You may be saying, I'd rather not deal with it because this may change my view of the world. There's a relationship focus for personal development and growth here. There'd be a commitment to unification. Now, when I said that you might be called upon to help other people, you actually make a very good therapist if you're not already one, and or a counselor. And I think that this is going to be a time in relation to relationships where there's going to be a great deepening of relationship for some and a pruning off of relationships for others. Sometimes I'm getting this triangle form here. There can sometimes be triangular relationships around. And it's also the case that in this period here, it's very much a case that it can be a time for marriage, and it can also be a time for breaking up on things. But in either case, these energies here for you are positive energies for you. With all these cards around, this may well be your best year ever. That's the way it is for you.
Well, there you go. That's it. Your 2020 annual reading done. I tell you what, I think that this is going to be your best year ever. I really do have that feeling about it. I've got to say that the vibe that's come out of that reading of yours is very, very positive, and you should be looking forward to this year. By the way, I just want to say also that you've been fabulous. You've been great, and in fact, you've been brilliant, and you've played your part of this exercise to perfection. And I thank you for that. Look, really all that remains for me to say is this, that you are a legend, and I hope I see you in my monthly readings. Subscribe if you want, but check out the videos anyway. Until then, bye for now.